Good afternoon everyone, welcome to my craft room. I'm going to go through what I'll be doing tonight in my online Zoom class using the Curvy Christmas stamp set, and some of you have got the Quite Curvy bundle. Anybody's interested in my online classes, just contact me, Fanny Stafford 07812 925 950 or fhstafford7@gmail.com and ask about them. They're great fun, we have a good time. But I also put the classes on YouTube like this, so people who can't access Zoom still have the instructions. So this is the Curvy Christmas stamp set, which is absolutely fabulous. And then there's the Quite Curvy bundle, and these are the dies. This is the stamp set. We're not using this today. This will be in the January to June catalogue, coming out in January as a bundle with the dies I'm about to show you. These are the dies, which are really fabulous. There's also one here which has dots that cut out of it. I'm going to show you that in a moment. There's one with filigree, there's one for the two birds and for the leaves, and an extra sprig there, and that cuts out a flower sprig. Also actually in this Quite Variety bundle, but in the suite that you can buy separately, are these gorgeous designer series papers with all different patterns in shaded spruce, crumb cake and cherry cobbler. Absolutely beautiful Christmas designer series paper, which are on limited offer until the end of December. So without any ado, well, first of all, I'll just quickly perhaps show you some other cards I've done with this bundle. So there's one with the Snowflake Wishes, with the Snowflake Wishes stamp set. There's another one with the Snowflake Wishes dies, and that one with a different inked background. And this one using the Quite Curvy stamp set, which is really lovely. And then this is one using the Flowers for Every Season designer series paper, and the flower is actually from Arrange a Wreath stamp set. A couple more here. That's a daisy punched out with a daisy punch, and then this is another Christmas one with a Curvy Christmas stamp set. And this is another Curvy Christmas one, and this is gold embossed, that stamp from the Curvy Christmas stamp set. So there's all sorts that you can actually do with this bundle. So the first card I'm going to show you today is perhaps in one sense the easiest, but it does involve a bit of a technique. So I've done this using the pigment sprinkles, which are still available on the clearance rack for £8.40, reduced from about £21, I think. So this was using the colours Granny Apple Green and Bermuda Bay, and this one was using the colours Mango Melody and Gorgeous Grape. If you don't have pigment sprinkles, you can actually choose a colour, say such as Pacific Point, squeeze your ink pad, and then you've got the ink on the top of the ink pad. And what you do is grab an aqua painter and you pick up the ink with the aqua painter. You wet the watercolour first, and then you just use the aqua painter to dab it on. But I'm going to do another video to show you those techniques. So the main reason for this video is to show you the construction of the cards. So in your pack for this, you will have the black cardstock to go behind, the watercolour paper to do your watercolour technique on. Then you'll have to dry it thoroughly. I recommend that you then put it in your Stamparatus, the long curvy stamp in your Stamparatus, because you're going to be stamping either StazOn or archival ink or black memento. And you want to make the watercolour paper is quite thick. So using your Stamparatus means that if you don't get clear definition the first time, you can stamp it again and it will go in exactly the same place. I've flicked some ink over to get these dots. Here, with this one, I've stamped the little stars in the stamp set, these ones here. And then I've actually stamped the stars here using the Stamparatus for placement with Versamark ink and then copper embossing powder, but I haven't put the stars in this one. So it depends how much you want to step it up as to how the finished card turns out. I recommend that you use double-sided tape, or else that you use our seal adhesive, which looks like this, for adhering the watercolour paper to the black cardstock, and also to adhere this piece to the watercolour paper, because if it's slightly damp or whatever, Tombow won't really hold it very fast. But that's what I would do to stick it together. And that's that first card. The main time in that is the technique. So the next card, I've cut out this piece already. I've given you a larger piece of Whisper White, which is for the inside of the card. And then I've given you a smaller piece of Whisper White, and I've given you 5 strips of designer series paper. They might be slightly larger than the piece of card, slightly longer. So basically you choose the design that you like, say perhaps something like that, and then you stick them together on the piece of white cardstock so that you get them all stuck nicely together onto it. You can use either Stampin' Seal or Tombow, and make sure they go over the top there. Those of you who have this die, I want you to make sure you've got it the right way round to fit, and that will just go like that. And then you basically are going to use it to cut the same curve on this once you've stuck these pieces to the white cardstock. If you don't have the die, I've given you a template to trace. There's one person I haven't given the template to. They probably know who they are. So what they will have to do is get a scrap piece of paper, put it behind here, trace this line onto the scrap piece of paper, and take the scrap piece of paper and trace it onto the sheet with all of the strips on to get the same curve. If it's slightly too long, you want to make sure when you stick it on like that. So the curve should go about there. Basically, just get the curve in the right place, and then you can always cut some of the base off to make it fit like this with some of the real red down the bottom. You choose, I've given you an old olive base, and then you choose what fun and whimsical stamp you want to stamp on here, and then you choose which sentiment. If you've got the owl set, obviously you can use the owls. If you haven't got the owls, then I'm sure you've got another whimsical Christmas set that you can use instead. So I'll just put that one away. So this one, I have given you all the pieces and the strips to go across. You may want to stick the strips on first. You may want to stamp this piece first. But what you must, if you're going to stamp this piece first, you must lay the strips down, even if you don't adhere them, and make a pencil mark where the top one's going to be, so that you know for the placement of this sentiment, which comes from the stamp set, May Your Days Be Merry and Bright. You can do this on the Stamparatus for the stamping again, because if it doesn't all stamp properly the first time, you can always redo it. I just used an acrylic block and I inked it up and it came out fine. I've given you the pieces for the poinsettia. They're from Arrange a Wreath. So if I just show you that now, you have the Sahara Sand base, and then you've got the cherry cobbler to put on top of that. And then you've got your piece of Whisper White like that. And then you put down, you can choose which way, but I've really done it. I've made this a bit longer so that you can choose which bit of the curve you want to go. And you'll see that if you get them around the right way, they will all fit together, and you choose what order you want the colours in. So obviously you're going to stamp your sentiment there, and then I've given you the pieces. You just must take out obviously the centres. You arrange it, arrange your wreath, arrange your flowers, one and then one on top. And I've given you a large gilded gem and 2 small ones. The 2 smaller ones are for these flowers, which will be a medium one and a small one, a medium one and a small one, and a gilded gem on the top of each, and a gilded gem on top of that. So arrange that one there and the 2 smaller ones there and there, and just put the glue in the centre of the flower so that you can pop the leaves in. And what you'll need to do here is you've got 3 leaves there, and just cut that there. So you've got 4 leaves, 3 leaves and 3 leaves, and that'll just make a nice little spread of foliage around the flowers. So that's a bit of flower arranging for you. Some of you like flower arranging. It's good fun arranging flowers on cards, so hopefully you'll enjoy that card. So I'll just put those bits away, and then I've got them ready to demonstrate tonight as well to my ladies on Zoom. We do have fun on Zoom because you can actually chat to each other, which is good, as opposed to if you do a Facebook Live when you can only type in messages. So the last card is this one, and this church comes from the Snow Globe dies. I've given you all a deer as well as a church, and I've also given you 2 polar bears, a mother and a baby polar bear, which came from the same set of dies, so you can choose. Now on yours, so the blue will go, I'll show you. Here's your card base, and the blue will fit exactly on top. If it doesn't fit exactly, then just trim a little bit once you stick the Knight of Navy to the white cardstock, And then you can stick your piece of designer series paper from Snowflake Wishes just like that. And then to stick the piece of Balmy Blue glimmer paper, what you need to do is make sure you've got it matching up, and then you need to draw a line with a pencil. So just match it up like that, make sure it's all nicely matched up, and then you're going to take a pencil and you're going to draw a line. I'll explain around why in a moment. So you've got your line there, so that you know then to take your mini glue dots, which I've got here, and you're going to place a mini glue dot there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You could put little pieces of tear and tape, but to be honest, mini glue dots are better. Not Tombow, because it won't stick to the Balmy Blue glimmer paper. When you've got your glue dots down, then just put your Balmy Blue glimmer paper in the right place, and it'll just stick down nicely like that. Okay, that will go at the top. This piece, which is using the Coming Home dies, again, Most Wonderful Time, I think they're called dies, they're going to go there. And then obviously you've got your church or your deer, wherever you want to put it really. You can put the front piece of the church on dimensionals if you like. I just stuck it straight down, I think, but I put the actual church on dimensionals in the centre like that. So before you stick this one down, I would stamp your sentiment. Again, you could, I've used 2 colours. If you use your Stamparatus, you can line up your sentiment, have a magnet here, and you ink it up in Pool Party and stamp it, and then the magnet hopefully will be holding the cardstock in the right place. You then, with your Stampin' Right marker, just mark the top half of the sentiment stamp, and you stamp it again. You'll get this lovely duo, sort of 2-colour, bi-colour, whatever effect, which looks a bit different. And the little snowflake is actually in the stamp set there if you want to use it, or little stars, whichever. So those are your 4 cards. I'm hoping to do another video to show you the techniques with this, for how to do the pigment sprinkles or an alternative watercolour background, or you could even sponge probably the watercolour paper as well. So I hope that that's clear. Let me know, my ladies who are doing the class, if you've got any questions, and hopefully I'll be back soon. Bye.